It's going to be tough.
She's got a lot to say.
She's always got a lot to say. Can we switch off her microphone to start? Okay, over to you, Andries.
Thanks, Baron. This morning we said market develop is one of the key investments that the PGM producers can do. We've heard what Norilsk is doing, which is fantastic, and we'll expand on that a bit later on the panel. But let's go to Anglo American Platinum. Fahmida, what are the things that you do, and how do you go about developing the market there?
Sure. So we've been doing market development for a very long time. As Anglo American Platinum and even as Valterra Platinum, we will continue to do market development. And we really look at market development with two focus areas. The first one is creating shareholder value, and the second one is to ensure that we do proper market development for the entire basket. So we don't just look at the major metals, we look at the entire basket, and what we try to do as market development is design for optionality and anti-fragility of the basket. The way we go about doing this is we look at the market, we look at mega trends that's in the market. So the energy transition, big data, for example, the fifth industrial revolution. And what we try to do is identify where our platinum group metals currently play a role. And when they play a role, we look at what is needed from our side to enhance that role. And if they don't play a role, can they play a role? So that is very important. And what we do is we put a portfolio of projects together, and we really categorize them across three pillars. It's mobility, industrial, and jewellery applications. And when we look at our pillars as well, we don't just look at it from a shallow perspective, right? So the three pillars gives us the breadth across market development. Within the various pillars, we try and create depth for market development and for demand for our platinum group metals. So within the mobility pillar, for example, we fully understand that the world is not going to decarbonize at the same rate. You know, people are going to decarbonize at different rates. They're going to be the first movers, they're going to be the followers. Hydrogen and fuel cells play a strategic role and will continue to play a strategic role within what we do within our mobility pillar. But we also understand that battery electric vehicles are going to play a role. And we have a development, it's a partnership that we have that intentionally adds platinum and palladium, more a palladium pool, into batteries that allow for longevity, cyclability, improved energy density, and a lighter battery at the end of the day. We also understand ICE engines are still going to be there, but they're going to probably be in different forms. So we look at, for example, carbon neutral fuels, or e-fuels that can go into these ICE engines, or, for example, development of dual fuel systems that still continue to use our PGMs. Within industrial applications, we look at, I'll give you some examples, low-loss computing, because we know big data is going to be important moving forward. Development of cancer treatment drugs. The development of technology using PGMs that allow food to last longer and stay fresh longer, so allowing for food security. So that's really how we look at it. And then jewellery. Innovation in jewellery has really been lacking, and one of the things that we have been quite proud about is the development of a new alloy, platinum alloy called Inovio. And Inovio is a platinum alloy. It doesn't scavenge utilization of platinum within the jewelry industry from other platinum applications. But what it does is it creates an opportunity to convert white gold into platinum with this alloy that allows for easier manufacturing, for example. So just to give you a quick example in terms of approximate demand within mobility, with our efforts, we project we can get around a minimum of 7 million ounces of PGM demand. Within industrial, about 1 million ounces of demand, and within jewellery, about 1.5 million ounces of demand.
Sure.
I'm just phoning my broker because 1 million palladium and 4 million platinum, I'm buying shares.
I didn't see palladium.
You should have bought before. Tim, we spoke about jewellery. Won't you just give us a sense of what can happen to platinum in jewelry. We've seen now platinum actually lag the recovery of gold jewelry after COVID, but there are some encouraging news, and I'm sure you guys are working well on that.
Well, thank you for the question, and thank you for being able to pick up just where Fahmida left it. I think that we understand that times are difficult, and I think that's also a reason why you're all in this room. But there's more than one light at the end of the tunnel. What we see is a couple of things happening that are actually quite positive. So number one is we've seen that China, the decline in China has always dragged global jewelry demand in platinum, but that is not the case anymore because China is either already has or is about to bottom out. So what we're seeing is actually global growth in platinum jewelry throughout all markets. And what's happened in parallel is, and it's hard to distinguish who's more responsible. Is it Trump? Is it China? Who knows? But we've seen gold prices at ridiculously high levels. So we see just today, after Trump's announcement, gold hitting the $3,000 mark. And we've seen in the past couple of years that there was a lot of jewelry demand in 24-karat gold in China, which, to be clear, was not jewelry demand per se. That was just really investment demand in disguise, because people and consumers in China didn't have any other place to go where they want to invest money. So all of that coupled has created a huge opportunity for us, where with the gold price of north of $3,000, there's a huge opportunity in converting large chunks of white gold into platinum. Like Fahmida said, if you imagine that white gold typically is, very often it's 18 carats, which is 75% gold, and then 25% something else, sometimes palladium, sometimes it isn't. But what we've seen, the trade is being really interested in looking at platinum again because it presents such a huge margin opportunity. And we're engaging the trade all the time, but I've never seen so much interest in platinum from the white metal jewelry sector than it is now. Even the Germans that we neglected 10 years ago are now very, very eager to discuss that. So all in all, what we're seeing that it's easily, at even modest conversion rates, a opportunity of 1 million ounces a year that could be converted from white gold to platinum.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Another million, just another million.
No, that's the same.
It's the same one. Okay.
Double counting, don't do that. Dominik, Heraeus refiners are not primary producer, but you've got access to lots of metal. You must have a view on different applications and uses for PGMs. We've heard what the producers are doing. What are the things that you see can expand demand?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I mean, I generally introduce our company as the biggest precious metal company outside automotive catalysts, and it's already a big part, that we are not covering, but there's still a big part left where we play a very, very dominant role. And I have to say, particularly on the minor metals like rhodium, iridium, ruthenium, where we have an extreme strong footprint on both the recycling of such, but also the use. And to name a few examples, the fine South African PGMs, they will end up in products that we produce, like chemicals, industrial catalysts, functional materials, cancer drugs. Already, as of today, you said research is ongoing. Other medical applications like pacemakers, sensors, electronics. So it's a huge variety of different applications, which maybe make not up the majority of the use, because as we know, it all goes into the automotive catalyst, but there's so many other applications where our company has an extreme strong footprint, and this is why I proudly present ourselves as the biggest precious metal company outside the automotive space. Three main areas that we see for future growth and where we put R&D investments onto. 1, hydrogen. 2, green chemistry. And 3, the electronic space. Maybe saying 2-3 sentences about each, starting with hydrogen. Our company, like many other companies, has been extremely hyped in the early 2020s, 2021, Iridium prices spiking, everyone kind of wanted our product, and now a new reality has kind of emerged. We still believe in the story. We also do believe it will take much longer. The products that we are supplying not just go into the electrolysis, which is then the creation of the hydrogen. They go into the purification. They go into the use when we talk about the fuel cell. And very importantly, they will go into the transport of hydrogen. Because I guess we all can agree, hydrogen will be produced in an area where most likely it's not going to be consumed. And I can say this as a German, we are a big energy importing country ultimately, and the hydrogen has to come to Germany somehow. And Japan, Korea, these countries have similar problems that we do have. And we, for example, believe in chemical binders like ammonia. And to make a little advertisement for ourselves and also for the SFA guys, we have done a nice paper on ruthenium use in hydrogen transportation in particular. It's not consuming a lot of ounces at the moment, but we believe in a bright future. Second, green chemistry. So we see already applications as of today where we go away from the classical fossil feedstocks into greener feedstocks. Could be woody biomass, could be something else. And we particularly see a use for precious metal in this area because the feedstocks are very tricky. And the catalyst systems based on precious metal, they have a certain robustness which helps the system overall run on these different feedstocks. And then third, electronics, for example, speaking about my personal favorite metal, which is, and many of the people here in the room know, is ruthenium. Ultimately, it's a very, very versatile metal. It's in certain instances very, very tricky, to deal with. But with the spike in semiconductors, with the spike driven by the AI applications, we believe that these high-end applications need high-end input materials like precious metals.
I've never met a person who speaks passionately about ruthenium.
Yeah. We love it. I have to tell you, and I love it in particular.
We can tell.
Yeah.
We can tell.
It's cheaper than the rest, and it can be used for a lot, so it makes sense. Edward, the World Platinum Investment Council, you've heard all the ounces. You need to convince investors it's a metal to take up. I mean, what's your belief? I mean, does these, not stories, these facts about future demand growth, do they hold? And how do you see the demand market grow?
Yeah, thanks very much. So I think first of all, it's worth just informing you all as to what I do at the World Platinum Investment Council. And really that's engaging with institutional investors and making sure that they are well informed in terms of the PGM markets and things that are affecting them and therefore their investment decisions. And as such, really our focus is on things that are going to change demand today and have an immediate influence on their decision to invest or not. And so we don't spend too much time looking at the longer term, sort of prospects for new emergent end uses if they don't change the dial today. So I guess with that in mind, one of the things that could change really is the pace at which the hydrogen economy takes off. Clearly that's been slower than we had been anticipating, and it's probably just worth considering why. And I think the main thing comes down to putting the horse in front of the cart, and that is the production of green hydrogen at scale at a low enough levelized cost of hydrogen with the infrastructure in place to distribute that hydrogen and get it to end users, making it available and making for them an easy decision to buy, for example, a fuel cell electric vehicle. And really that requires big subsidies. Now, we've known about those numbers for a while, but the pace at which those subsidies have flowed has been much slower than we had anticipated. And they are beginning to come now. The second thing is just on the jewellery side. What are the motivations for switching from white gold, for example, to platinum jewellery? And we've touched on there's a price parity at the retail level. But there's another motivation too, which is effectively for the fabricators and retailers, their working capital requirements have expanded massively with the increase in the price of gold. So switching some of their offerings into other metals, including platinum, potentially is very helpful in terms of releasing working capital. And then the third thing I'd highlight here is, potentially re-examining the use of platinum as a reserve asset. You know, the challenges in the past have been very much related to liquidity, or lack thereof. But if we look at the last 4 years, liquidity has doubled in platinum. So maybe it's worth just reconsidering this again.
Excellent. Tim, Edward mentioned other metals for jewellery. But I know there was some investments in palladium into jewellery. Is that anything that will take off? Any chance of success there, or was that a not so successful?
Well, I think that, well, it could be the shortest answer of the day, no. No, and here's why. I think, because I think now we've looked at, I think there is a place, there could be a place for palladium in jewelry, or at least palladium adjacent, if the price came down significantly, but nowhere near where it is currently. And also we need to keep in mind we have a great opportunity in palladium and platinum now, and opening up a second sector that you would also have to do marketing for. That would be very, very difficult to do. What we see in palladium, I mean, if palladium prices were to drop to, let's say, 300, 200, something along the lines, then a PD 500 alloy could be a viable alternative to silver in jewelry, but not anywhere else.
Thanks. So that's off the table.
Yeah, no, let's not go there.
Cross
No.
on your side. Dmitry, brings us back to palladium. And I was very encouraged by what you had on the screen there. I expected this room, and we generally got that today, is that everyone bashed palladium, bashed rhodium, because it's only automotive demand, and you've highlighted the potential for it. Now, if you put 25 projects on there that you say you're making progress, you've got aspirations for more, and then you've given Bernard 1.7 million of ounces of palladium. But what's the true potential? How do you see that grow for the future? I mean, is there any specific ones in there that you want to expand on that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So actually our strategy is built, so these 100 products, the strategy is built on the principle that if 1 of 5 products survive and go to the market, we will still succeed and reach these numbers. So basically, the current portfolio already targeted these 1.7 million ounces. But we understand that somewhere we will succeed, somewhere we will not succeed. And so we are pretty confident in that the numbers that we announced, we will reach them.
Excellent. Now, research and finding a prototype versus commercializing that is something altogether different. Fahmida, what's your strategy to commercialize the research that's coming from Palladium Center, your own research? I mean, how do you actually make it happen? How do you convert a fantastic idea, AI generated, into a solution that works on the ground and that consumes PGM ounces?
Sure. So if I go to Inovio, for example, it was what we refer to as a commercial collaboration. So it is a collaboration. Firstly, there was an investment. So maybe let me start with explaining market development and how we deliver, because I think that's going to talk to your question better. So when we deliver on market development, there's 4 levers that we pull. The first one is advocacy. So we go out into the market and we advocate for what we need. So, for example, ICE vehicles and the loadings within ICE vehicles, whether it's including FCEVs into strategy, global strategies, the hydrogen economy. So we advocate quite actively. The second thing that we do is we nurture. So we are a founding investor or an angel investor or seed investor, and we create companies, and that's really how we commercialize some of what we do. So within a quick example, in the hydrogen economy, our investment in Supercritical, which is a electrolyzer company, we started as a seed investor. They've now closed a seed A round for £18 million. So that shows you how we move. So when we think about R&D, we look at it from a venture-led perspective, not just R&D for the sake of doing R&D. To support that venture organization going forward, there is investment opportunity, so growth capital, and that's really our investment in AP Ventures and how, as a cornerstone investor that spun out APV in 2018, they're now a $400 million fund that invests predominantly in hydrogen. And the third one is commercial collaboration. How do we work with others to ensure that we have the like-minded partners at the table so we can have quick delivery? A quick example of that is H2Move's Berlin. There were no taxi vehicles, fuel cell vehicles on the ground. We now have 200 on the ground. That resulted in 500 in Paris and a further almost 100 in Belgium. So there's a number of projects that we do. So when it comes to Inovio, we do exactly the same thing, that nurturing, so that initial investment into Alloyd, develop the AI technology so that we could get the recipe for Inovio. And then how do you commercially collaborate to be able to get that into the market? So that's where PGI came in together with Stella, and really then taking that to a level where you can manufacture at scale and get that into the market. But I'm sure Tim can speak to Inovio a lot better as well.
Tim, do you want to add on to that? Just how are you going to make that white gold substitution for us?
Well, I think that it's Inovio is a key ingredient for us in that, because you need to keep in mind that white gold is incredibly easy to make. White gold jewelry, all of you could get into the business tomorrow. So what we needed is innovation that closes that gap. And I think Inovio is a good example of how we did that. There are other examples, but I think it's if you don't have that, you don't even stand a chance to convert anything, because in white gold, the casting trees are bigger, the fluidity is much better, you have a lot less issues with porosity and all of that. And special alloys like that, in innovations like that, allow us to close that gap, to really be on par, and to actually have efficiency gains of massive proportions compared to other platinum alloys. But on that note, I think it's not just in the alloy, but we're looking at is what the jewelry industry requires is innovation in manufacturing. And that's what we've been doing in the past quite extensively. I would say that in the past 2 years, we've seen more innovation in platinum and jewelry than we've seen in the past 20. Inovio is a prime example, of course, but we also looked at other manufacturing capabilities, for example, electroforming, which could get us into fashion jewelry, where platinum currently isn't playing. And you might have seen that we extended our efforts in accelerating 3D printing in platinum jewelry, which, by the way, could be a huge opportunity in the new world of big tariffs when you're able to produce more locally. At the moment, the costs are a little bit prohibitive compared to conventional manufacturing, but all of these areas are just critical for us to even start talking about something like 1 million ounces a year.
Yeah, that's amazing. Heraeus, Dominik, I mean, what are you doing to make it practical and convert the ideas into action?
So we of course have also own huge internal R&D labs, and they're all around the globe because we are a global company ultimately, right? So we have R&D labs in the US, we have R&D labs in Europe in our headquarters in Hanau, and we also have local R&D in China. So that's one pillar. Also, to put it a little bit in perspective, because I was talking about new catalyst solutions for new applications. We internally, when we have a business case, we calculate with 10 years from the original idea till the first fill in a plant that needs to be built somewhere, and this gives you then a certain perspective how long certain things ultimately take. We do take strategic collaborations, including investments, and at the moment we realize that some of the hydrogen companies are struggling a little bit because they accumulate a lot of costs, they're not accumulating a lot of sales, and this is why we particularly partner up with companies that are outside let's say our own value chain, and we remain at the catalyst stage, but we need to work closely together with companies who are outside our part in the value chain. Maybe last, what I wanted to mention, because before I joined the trading group, I was actually responsible for our catalysis, and particularly the heterogeneous catalysis group that we are having. And in the academia, we see, unfortunately, a little negative narrative towards precious metals. You know, when we speak to a professor and we try to build relationships with the top 10 catalysis schools around the globe, and, you know, their number one goal is normally to get rid of the precious metals and make it work, you know, with something else. And I think we need to do a little lobby work on this to change this narrative. Not just, you know, changing from something expensive, you know, to maybe a cheaper solution when you look at the input factors, but rather have them understand, you know, what it means in terms of activity of the catalyst system, selectivity of the catalyst system, and particularly the durability, including the recycling circle. And yeah, maybe these are a few points that I can throw in.
Yeah, thank you. It would be, before we get to the questions, is that our question trigger?
Carry on. The audience is fast asleep. The topic is boring. There are no questions, so just carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Edward, you finished off on hydrogen didn't come through as quickly as you wanted. This morning, Bernard said we need to pray for hydrogen because in bulk, that's really where everyone sees the future. I mean, do you have a bit of a timeline now that you think is realistic when the hydrogen economy will pick up and the ounces will come through? And I know you say your institutional investors want short-term, so I hope there's a short-term answer somewhere in that.
Well, I mean, yeah, in our supply-demand numbers, we do have hydrogen demand in there already. So there are, you know, ounces that are being used for hydrogen applications, and the year-on-year growth is, you know, high double digits. But it is off a small base rather. And so I think it will continue to accelerate. But, you know, thinking about some of the innovative things that can be done with hydrogen, and I'll give you an example from my last trip to China last year. And this links in with one of the topics that came up earlier about, you know, being able to charge a battery electric vehicle in 5 minutes. But to do that, you need a megawatt connection. Everyone says it's 1,000 kilowatts. That's a megawatt. That's a lot. And being able to balance that with the grid and supply that grid-related infrastructure is obviously challenging. And one of the, you know, the pieces of equipment that we saw in China last year was it might sound like not a particularly good use of energy efficiency, but it was a hydrogen-powered supercharger for battery electric vehicles. But the really good advantage of them is that they are transportable, and you can put them in locations where you don't have the grid infrastructure. And as the grid infrastructure is built out, then you can move them to other locations. That might be, you know, a possible solution for that.
Very, very interesting. Dmitry, your ideas into action. You said you partner with people, you partner globally. Do you want to give us a sense of where you see the global partnerships taking Palladium, in your case, forward?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, well, I think that the only companies that are worried about platinum group metals are the miners and the fabricators.
Yeah.
Nobody else is interested. Everybody interested else in just effective materials. It will be platinum group metals or nickel, or doesn't matter. So I really think if we collaborate, we will just bring the products to the market faster. For example, Anglo has these startups that developing lithium-S, a usage of platinum group metals there. We also have a battery material lab and some developments in this case. If we, for example, collaborate, maybe your startup will grow faster, we will get a bigger market for palladium, something like this, right? Very simple. Or for example, Heraeus, yes, you said about the green chemistry. We have really good acids, glycolic acids, some acids for biopackaging, which are at some development markets. And what we are now currently doing, we're providing these technologies to some local producers. But if we collaborate with some international company, just the scale, the speed of scaling of the technology will be like very fast. So I mean, I see the main collaborations here. I think really they will make it happen not in 10 years, but maybe in 5 or 3.
Much quicker. Fahmida, do you want? Sorry.
So I just wanted to say something about. You know, a group of people who do care about platinum group metals quite a lot, and outside of this room, of course. But we organise Shanghai Platinum Week every year, and it's in the second week of July. And just a stat for you, last year, we've live streamed the seminar within China. And the first day of the seminar was watched by 470,000 people for an average of 7 hours each.
Come on, 400 people in this room there, right?
And I don't think they necessarily all care about PGMs, but they do care about the industries that use them. And China's the biggest market for these metals globally.
I think it was a Bitcoin conference, really.
Do you want to bring it local? What can we do in South Africa on growing demand?
Sure, so I'll talk to two projects or two programs that are really close to my heart. The first one is a hydrogen-related one, Project Rainbow, where we're working with our partners in creating a hydrogen freight corridor in country. We started that way. We've needed to pivot because we had the discussion around putting the cart before the horse and infrastructure cost, and we realized that bulk infrastructure cost is burdensome, and it does not make the economics for hydrogen work if you don't have the right demand. So we've pivoted, and we're now looking at how do we create at-scale projects and how do we scale them up. So having infrastructure that is sufficient for the number of vehicles we need on the road for what we refer to as milk runs, for example. And as you increase the demand, you can increase the refueling infrastructure. Eventually, you get to the right demand point and the right infrastructure point. I'm proud to announce, hot off the press, this project has just been shortlisted for JET IP funding. So a great achievement for us as South Africa to be able to get to this point. Obviously, the best achievement would be when tires hit the road, right? Yep. The second project is a jewellery-related project, PlatAfrica, which is a local mineral beneficiation program as well as a skills development program. We have been doing this for 25 years. And basically, we have a consignment scheme that we make available, the platinum that's issued to the designers. They have a brief that they work to every year. It's a competition. We have professionals and students. They take the platinum, they design according to the brief, they manufacture a piece, it comes back to us. We have local and international judges that judge the process, and then we have winners that have a product that they can sell in an international market. So what has been really great about PlatAfrica is over the last few years, we have created online sales as well as showcasing to the point now that we sell on average 1 million rand worth of platinum jewellery for our South African industry, which is really amazing. We have created a lot of skill, we have made a lot of material available, and we are now creating this market access that's showing that this works. I mean, it's not 1 million ounces, but it's a good start for South Africa. We're showing true, tangible points of success.
Fantastic. Do you want to give that website address to Bernard for Tracy, please?
Please, absolutely. I will invite you to PlatAfrica.
Can I introduce you to my wife? She wears gold. She will always wear gold. We met at a gold mining company. We made a pledge to each other, perhaps white gold. Okay. Whilst Fahmida was pivoting, I had to look up this word pivot. I mean, it's one of those favorite words because when I grew up, we failed and we started over again. Today, we pivot. So, pivot. Completely changed the way one does something. It's what Oxford Dictionary says. So you failed at your corridor and you're now doing it over again. It's fine. We support you, but stop pivoting, okay? She pivoted away from the previous thing. When I met Fahmida many years ago, she was so passionate about hydrogen. What happened?
I'm still passionate about hydrogen. Nothing has changed. We still have a very good view on hydrogen. Like I said to you, H2 moves Berlin, very successful. Rainbow, we're moving towards success. In fact,
no, deep love is that means Ruthenium. That's
let
love.
me give you another example. Our collaboration with BMW and Sasol last year.
Yeah.
It was a prototype fleet of 3 vehicles. It received high utilization within South Africa. And what it did was it informed the commercialization strategy for BMW. How's that for success?
That's not bad, eh? And it was a beautiful car, wasn't it? Eh?
Amazing.
Is that why the country club burned down? Was it?
We weren't there.
You were there. Back to you. Don't let me interrupt me. But pivot, don't pivot.
No,
guys.
give us some questions from
Fail forward. That's the thing. These people are not waking up, but let's see. Let me go back to, there was a question. Let me go back to Norilsk. It's a question I think we touched on when I asked you. The specific question is, how many of these new projects will replace platinum with palladium? Just a substitution. We touched a little bit, but I mean, you're a palladium producer. You don't care that much for platinum. You would cannibalize that market if you could.
We're actually a big producer of platinum too.
I know.
So we care about all metals, and as I showed the portfolio, yeah, so 3 of 4 squares are about new applications.
Yeah.
So there we cannot talk about
Substitution.
who will replace what in the market that does not exist now. So there we will just see what will be the optimal product. And yeah, one of these 4 squares is the traditional PGMs, where we are really replacing, I don't know, expensive iridium or expensive rhodium for palladium, just to make more effective materials. I think that it's not that much applications actually. And in this application, and it's not only about platinum. So for example, in electrochemistry, we decrease iridium. Yes, we add palladium and we get these electrodes which are last longer, cheaper, and more energy effective. In glass fiber bushings, yeah, I think it's the biggest one where we will replace some part of platinum, some 20%.
But the bottom line is the whole basket needs to work together and needs to be profitable. Otherwise, we don't have minds.
There were quite a few questions around collaboration. I asked that of the CEOs sort of briefly. How do the producers collaborate? But perhaps I can ask each one of our panelists if you could get one magical bit of additional collaboration in the space, the overall PGM space. Perhaps Tim, we can start with you. I mean, you've got a very narrow focus, but what more collaboration would help you in your area?
Now's a good time to ask about the BS before they're out of the group there.
So, collaboration, what additional value could be unlocked through collaboration in your area? Tim? I think I'm talking to you. Sorry.
Hello.
Sorry, I thought I said Tim. Perhaps I didn't. My fault. Tim, collaboration. What are you looking for?
Straightforward. I think it's pretty straightforward. We talked about the 1 million ounces, which might be understated, might be 1.5 million. But to be very clear, marketing and market development jewelry does cost money. And we're at the moment at 12%, if you adjust it for inflation, of what we used to do. And in luxury or jewelry, you need to pretty much spend 20% of your revenue, go back into marketing to do that. Well, we would just require 5. So for us, a big collaboration success would be to have more platinum producers join the PGADA. I think jewelry is too important to just have 3 platinum producers support PGI, and I would be very happy to see more people joining the cause.
So I say collaboration, you say funding. You want more money. Okay, I'm just translating. Collaboration.
Yes, I mean, I to a degree also, echo what Tim says, but we already do a lot of collaboration around the world. We partner with mince refineries and bullion dealers and help them design, produce, market, and sell platinum investment product. And we also collaborate very closely, or have been helping the Guangzhou Futures Exchange with its efforts to launch physically settled platinum and palladium futures in China, which could be really transformative there in terms of providing another investment opportunity, but also allowing for the end users of PGMs to manage price risk in the country. And that could be really key in terms of things like the price premium and the price discount for different products out there.
Dominik?
I'd like to mention 2 things. One of the best things that our company has done in the past is you will not like this idea, but handing out free samples. because we believed people will do something with it sooner or later, and this is actually also what happened, and sometimes also to our surprise. So,
But I hope Fahmida listens. 3 samples to Tracy and I of white gold. We are interested now. 3 samples.
yeah. And the second idea I want to throw in the room, I mean, sustainability and carbon footprint, this gets of more and more importance. And when we speak to our end product customers, well, they want to know what's the carbon footprint of the product that we are having. And we all know that mining has a certain CO2 footprint. And I think maybe some things can be done between manufacturers of precious metals and miners of precious metals. And also to maybe throw out our official company opinion, we are a strong believer in the mining industry. And there's so much talk about and fuss about people who just talk about secondary metal only, and it's much better, and we need green platinum and not the primary platinum. We believe that's a little BS, and we believe the mines are here to stay, and we have long-lasting relationships over decades, with Northern and other guys here in the audience, and we believe this is going to continue.
Yeah. So Fahmida, next year, this conference, we hear about better collaboration between South African palladium producers, Russian palladium producers. Is that also an area of potential collaboration?
So I think we're open to collaboration. We want like-minded partners on the table. And for me, an area that is there's 2 areas that's important. The first one, I'm going to base on size of the prize. And when we look at size of the prize, mobility is going to be that sector. We said around 7 million ounces of PGM demand within mobility. That's fuel cell, that's batteries, that's other types of vehicles. So that's an important area. And the second one is on the time frame to actually see ounces being taken up into the market, and that is really jewellery. So to echo Tim's point, it's not just funding, it's how do we collaborate on jewellery so that we can see actual uptake of ounces within the jewellery industry, and happy to collaborate with whoever's open to do that.
I was going to suggest that perhaps Neil Fruneman can introduce you guys to the World Gold Council for collaboration on white gold. Andries, I want to ask you, who's the person, perhaps you the person, there's a question from Tabo. How will CBAM, the carbon, what is it, carbon border adjustment mechanism, CBAM, and policies impact PGM demand, particularly in automotive, and how is Anglo positioning itself to capitalize on it? So the question is coming to you. Carbon border adjustment, is that this big threat hanging over us as a mining industry in South Africa?
Okay, so
the question was for Anglo, but
from an automotive perspective, we don't believe, decarbonization is not going to happen the way it is, right? Legislation is changing, some of it is regressing, there is going to be ICE engines, so you're still going to have that. In order to ensure that we can meet decarbonization goals, we have initiatives, for example, like fuel cell electric vehicles, like BEVs, and our Lion Battery Technology Initiative, to ensure that we are encouraging zero carbon technologies as well. So I'm not sure if I quite answered your question, but
yeah, perhaps I can add on to that.
And I want to ask, is that very different to just tariffs?
I was going to say, it's just like tariffs.
Is it tariffs that we like more?
The reality is, if you've got lots of jurisdictions delivering into Europe, well, then it makes sense. Then you're going to buy from the jurisdiction with the lowest carbon footprint. When you've got 2 jurisdictions selling into Europe, and add a little bit out of Canada potentially, because the US will use their own, then it's just a tariff. And I don't think that's going to make a big difference.
Ladies, gentlemen, I'm not sure. This morning I thought, it's a fantastic story. There are lots of new opportunities for the PGM group. I was thinking in hundreds of thousands of ounces. But you bunch of bullshitters, million here, million there, million there, another million there. I'm just, can we please have your mine, Baxter? We need your mine. We need the production. I always thought part of today's eye-opener for me in preparing was like there's a underpin, and there's market development taking place. And sometimes it's very visible, like in jewelry. Sometimes it's long lead, like in hydrogen, perhaps. But as I keep on saying to people, let's not call this a dying industry because it's premature. These are special metals with special applications that cannot easily be replaced. So thank you very much for all your different insights. Try and work together. Please, man, just collaborate. Okay. Thank you very much, Andries and this panel.